Alright, welcome to the first how-to guide. We're obviously going to be going over Magneto in this video. And feel free to jump around in this video because this video will most likely be very long. So we will be going in depth with all the characters and how to play against them as you're playing Magneto. So just remember, you can jump around and all that good stuff. Feel free to leave a comment or anything like that in my video editing because this is my first time doing a very long video edit. So if there is any tips or anything that you guys can give me, I would love to hear it. And then another thing too is that I will be changing, like if I sound different or if I change clothes or something like that. Just remember, like, this did take a very long time to record. So that is my bad. I should be faster. But other than that, enjoy the video. Alright, let's start learning about Magneto. Magneto's primary fire is Iron Volley. Fire a volley of magnetic orbs forward. The range of the resulting explosion increases based on distance flown. That is basically his primary fire, and I will be referring to that as his left click. Then his right click, Mag Cannon, converts the iron rings on Magneto's back into Mag Cannon and launch a magnetic mass forward. Higher stacks of rings increase damage, and full stacks knock back enemies. That I will always be referring to as his right click as well. And then Iron Bulwark, conjure an iron shield around yourself. Damage taken will transfer into rings on Magneto's back. I will also refer to that as Self Bubble. And then Metal Bulwark, conjure a metal shield around a chosen ally. Damage taken will transfer into rings onto Magneto's back. I will just refer to that as an ally bubble. And then the Metallic Curtain, change a magnetic field around to form a metallic curtain blocking all projectiles. I will refer to this as just his shield. And then his Q, his meteor, basically draws in all materials around to forge an iron meteor that deals massive damage upon impact, absorbing enemy projectiles, and can enhance the meteor's power. Yet overloading will cause it to self-destruct. I will just referring to as his ult, his meteor, or sometimes the meatball. I don't make up the names. That's just what I've heard. But yeah, that's the names that I'll be going off of for all the abilities. So if I ever reference like a left click, right click, self bubble, ally bubble, those are the abilities that I will be talking about. And then don't forget, obviously, he has his team up ability with Scarlet Witch. It's not really useful. I won't really be talking about that at all. And then his passive, which allows him to fall slowly. Again, won't be talking about that too much. That's more situational, so I won't be talking about it as much as the other abilities and how to use them. Alright. So, starting off with Magneto's left click. This has a golden range from around 23 to 19 meters. This allows the projectile to explode on itself and allowing it to hit multiple enemies without even really aiming them, really aiming at them at all. So you don't have to hit direct shots on your enemies instead. You can just hit them on the side and it still deals a little bit of damage. Not obviously as much as a direct hit itself, but still with the explosion damage, it's better than nothing. And you're easily able to, I'd say, 3 to 4 shot someone. Very low health with only 3 shots. With a 4th shot, or it's just some random damage from a different teammate, you can easily kill someone with only 3 shots, 3 direct hits. Now we'll move on to Magneto's right click. Magneto's right click allows you to push enemies as long as it's charged with the 3 arrows. If it's not charged with the 3 arrows, it won't push them back. So for example, I have infinite abilities on, so I can shoot as many as I want, and it will keep pushing them back. But I'm gonna go in and turn this off right now. Exactly as I expected. It shoots them back and knocks them back, but you have to wait maybe like 7 seconds, probably like 10 seconds for this to fully recharge by itself. And it allows you to then push someone back with the right click. The knockback on Magneto's right click is around 5 meters. Yes. So the quickest way I've found to kill a target with Magneto is obviously, it's going to be left click, melee, right click, hit her again with another left click. That is the quickest way I've found so far. So how it would look would be like this. Once my thing recharges, obviously. It'd be left click, melee, right click, left click. Just like that. One of the quickest ways. if not the quickest, that I believe it is. Moving on to Magneto's bubble. He has the ability to bubble himself. And with that, you're able to charge your right click if it is destroyed. It gives a full 100% charge if it's broken by the enemies. Obviously, I can't show it in range because even the bots over there don't deal enough damage to break his shield, which I'm pretty sure his shield has around 200 health. This shield can also be applied to friendlies as well, but it runs on the same cooldown as your main one. So I can give it to him, but if you look down at the right corner, it starts the cooldown for my bubble as well. So you can either bubble yourself or bubble a teammate, but then it's going to be on a cooldown for around 12 seconds. So use it very wisely. Moving on to Magneto's shield. Magneto's shield can block any projectile for around 1.5 seconds. And it has, as you can see on the right side of my crosshair, it has a meter that slowly goes up after I've done using it. So obviously it can be held for 1.5 seconds, but it can be held for shorter distance to reduce the amount used on the cooldown itself, on the right side. Because theoretically, the shield only has a 3-second cooldown. But if you use all the charge, you're going to have to wait around 10 seconds before you can get the full 1.5 seconds of shield again. Just like that, you have another 1.5. Okay, finally, we're going to talk about Magneto's ults. Magneto probably has the strongest defensive ult in the game that's not a support ult. This ultimate allows you to charge up your ult and build it to an even greater, bigger version of itself on top of, enemy damage and then also holding it in the air. So, for example, it builds and builds and builds until I finally let go, or until I finally click the button for it to be let go. And since this ultimate is so important, let's look at the Marvel Rivals pages about it. So, the projectile deals no damage. The base damage at the center of the spell field starts at 100 and it increases to 300 when fully charged. Each point of energy adds an extra 3 points of damage to the spell field, with damage reduction to 50% at the distance of 6 meters from the center. So, theoretically, you could achieve a 600 damage ultimate. But since you can't obviously charge it up to 100%, because then it will then explode if it's overcharged, you can get to 597 damage as the max damage of Magneto's ult. But the max damage you can only get without absorbing any projectiles would only be 300 damage. Since we covered Magneto's full kit, we're going to now switch over to talk about the Vanguards. So first off, we're going to start off, obviously, with Magneto himself and how to play against another Magneto. Alright, so when playing against an enemy Magneto, both of you are most likely going to be standing around 20 meters-ish, and you're going to be shooting at each other just like this. Just back and forth, picking each other off. What you want to do is try and force out his bubble or his curtain. If you're able to force that out, you have a huge advantage. You can continue walking up on them. But one of the most important things to do is when your support is ulting. When your support is ulting, you always want to give them a bubble if the enemy Magneto has his ultimate up, because most of the time a Magneto will ult and hit one of your support ultimates. Another thing that you should also be doing is also putting a shield on it in Iron Man, Star-Lord, Punisher, any of those heroes that are really good for Magneto to just one-shot hit KO instantly. So keep that in mind. You want to be bubbling and having your bubble like on cooldown. Off cooldown. So then you could bubble and save your teammates from the enemy Magneto ult when they decide to ult. But other than that, Magneto against Magneto is probably one of the most boring things you'll ever see in Marvel Rivals. They will just be shooting at each other like this until either the enemy team or your team finally advance and make a pick or make a big play to make more space. Because they will continuously just sit like this and get heals from their healers and then just build up their ult and wait for someone else to pop an ult, and then we'll pop our ult. That's mostly what a good Magneto would do. We're playing against, obviously, Strange. Strange has a much longer range than Magneto, around 30 meters that Strange has. so that's around 10 meters more than Magneto. So Strange can be playing at a distance, but due to his projectile size, it's unlikely that he'll be playing from that distance. So most likely you guys will be matched up together or around the same distance at around 20 meters, maybe even shorter. The key thing when playing against a Strange is to keep him away from you and to always be hitting him with your right click to keep him away. Especially when you see him start walking up. If he starts walking up on you, he might just try and use a full 100% Maelstrom on you. So you want to keep him at a distance. But if you do start to see him walk up and you do not have your right click, just throw up your shield real quick, especially when you think he's about to pop his Maelstrom to try and get more ult charge from him. It'll block basically all of it on you and try and get in front of teammates so they'll block it too. Or bubble a team up just in case. But other than that, you should be okay. Then finally, we're going to talk about Strange's ultimate. Strange's ultimate is a very powerful ultimate, and what you want to be doing is obviously be playing defensively as possible by bubbling your teammate and then popping your own shield to try and block his ultimate. So at least 2 of your teammates can stay alive. Well, obviously you and one other teammate can stay alive. But then once it pops and it does end up hitting another person, body block for your teammates to try and make sure that he doesn't get another pick on someone. Another thing that you can also do is hit him with a right click. If you could tell that he's easily walking up, or if he's he tries the flying in the air trick, hit him with a right click before he lands or while he's midair. It will then knock him back 5 meters, and that could theoretically stop him from hitting all your team. Alright, now we're going to talk about Hulk. Hulk is mostly known for a dive character, and he will mostly just be diving your backline. So a good way to do it is obviously hit him with a right click. Get him off your supports, get him off your DPS, get him off of it all. Usually you don't have to waste a bubble on a Hulk dive by himself. You don't have to waste a bubble on him diving one of your supports and then just by himself. You don't have to put a bubble on him. You just hit him with a right click, hit him with a couple left clicks, get him down, make him jump away, something like that. Another really good idea, if you can hit it, is when the Hulk is trying to jump away. If you can hit him with a right click while he's jumping away, it interrupts partially of his jump. So if you do that, it will screw up his escape route, and then you could end up trying to kill him again. But most good Hulks will usually pop their bubble right before they're about to leave, so then they have that partial bubble still on them while they jump away. So keep that in mind. So sometimes you just want to hit him with a right click immediately instead of saving it and hoping to try and like sort of cancel his jump. Another thing too is when Hulk ults. If Hulk ults, he has the ability to really screw up one of your DPS or healers due to him being able to hit you twice and then jump on you, stunning you, and then hitting you again and killing you instantly. So you need to keep an eye out for that and bubble your teammates whenever you can, and whenever you see that Hulk is focusing on them, you need to bubble them. Because obviously your shield doesn't do very much against a melee character. Alright, moving on to the next tank, we're going to talk about Groot. Groot is a very hard pick for Magneto to go against. He obviously is a very big target, very big hitbox, very big, all that stuff. But his walls are very hard to destroy for Magneto by himself. It takes a lot of hits from just Magneto's left click just to break one tiny wall. So most of the time you just want to be careful about that and make sure you don't get walled off from your team. One thing though that can really counter Groot is your shield. If you can time your shield when Groot ults, when he like leans over and shoots his thing, you can theoretically block it with your shield and it will nullify the whole effect. It will also work if you're bubbled. If you're bubbled and you run straight at it. Just keep in mind when you're playing against a Groot, you want to save your shield and your bubble to try and block his ultimate whenever you know it's online. So if you can block his ult, it does absolutely nothing after you block it. Nothing. It just disappears. And then again, just make sure you do not get walled off. Alright, moving on. We're going to talk about Thor. Obviously, Thor is a very strong tank with his Rune Awakening. And you be careful about that and try and keep track of how many Thor Force he has and when he uses his bubble. Because if he is diving one of your tanks, or even one of your DPS or healers, hit him with a right click, get him away. Make sure he doesn't get that extra charge from his from using his ability. But other than that, you need to make sure that you're not overextending, especially against a Thor, because they will just push you forward as much as you can, especially if you don't have bubble on cooldown. I mean, if bubble is on cooldown. If bubble's on cooldown, and he can just bully you and push you into the enemy team without a care in the world. So save your bubble for your other tank or for a DPS that might be grabbed. Just keep an eye out for that, because if it does happen, they can easily get bursted down, especially with his Rune Awakening ability. Sorry. We're gonna keep going with Thor. His ultimate as well can be a little bit of a pain, but just look up and start shooting him whenever you can. And try and just give a teammate a bubble. You don't really need it that much. I think if Thor only does around 300 damage in the total thing, so save the bubble for your teammate and don't use it on yourself unless you really need to and you're the only one in the ultimate itself. But other than that, just give it to a teammate. They'll be way thankful for it, especially like an ulting Luna or anything like that. All right, moving on to the next character, we're gonna talk about Venom. Pretty simple, just like Hulk. If he does jump on you, hit him with a right click, get him away from your team, especially if he uses his tether ability. That will really help your teammates from escaping it then, so it doesn't do that 80 tick of damage. So just hit him with a right click, give him a couple left clicks, get him low, make him pop his E ability and make him take the overhealth. Also, keep an eye out for his ultimate. Give a teammate a bubble or yourself a bubble. It might be better for you to have the bubble because it does percentage-based damage. So if you have to, use your bubble on a teammate if you're not in it. Just depending on the situation, use the bubble on you or your teammate. Alright, next, we're going to talk about Penny Parker. Penny Parker is a very interesting one for Magneto himself because her nest can either be the easiest thing to destroy with Magneto due to him having splash damage. It can also be one of the hardest things for Magneto to kill as well because he has no mobility options, and the only thing that can save him from the mines itself that are produced from the nest is his bubble. And that's obviously on a 12-second cooldown, which he cannot spam. So when there is a penny nest, just be careful for that. Try and poke it, especially with your splash damage. You can at least get it down to half health before a diver or a DPS player or someone else has to destroy it. Another thing to really keep in mind too is when you see random penny nests. I've seen this so many times with every single player. So don't even a DPS, if you're a DPS player, support player, anything like that, listen to this. Tanks should spy check any random nest, like any web placements for mines. You should always let your tanks test it out, and tanks, don't full walk into it. Do a little step back, do a little step in, step out, step in, step out, step in, step out. Test to see how many mines are there, get the mines out of there, and then walk over it. And then once your teammates see that you walk over it, they'll most likely be like, okay, I understand, it's free now. So just don't walk directly into a random web for any type of player, for a support player, DPS player, tank player. Don't do that. You're going to instantly one-shot if the Penny is really good at how she plays it. Now, we're going to move on to the Thing. The Thing is one of the hardest counters probably to Magneto, especially with his right click. His right click doesn't move him. He's just a big old thing that just sits there. Especially with his charge ability. You don't have any movement abilities, but still it can cause enough havoc that you might need to bubble a teammate. And then also as well, you cannot block any of his punches with your curtain. So he's just in your face punching you all the time. You can't block it unless you use your bubble. And then his anti-mobility, what's it called? Anti-mobility passive nullifies your whole right click. So it doesn't even work against him. Shield doesn't work against him. Only thing that works against him is the bubble. And he has so much health, you can't even hit him with your full health or fully charged meteor to kill him because he has so much health. But other than that, you can. I've seen clips of it where you are able to block the Thing's ultimate with you jumping and then flicking your shield downwards. If you're able to do that, you're able to block his ult. That's one of the only things you can do against the Thing. So it could theoretically save you So what you should be doing is bubbling a teammate, then shielding instantly, and then jumping. Alright, next we're going to talk about Captain America. Captain America has a lot of abilities that allow him to escape, to block your damage, to block your right click, and to damage your DPS and supports. So what I recommend is saving your abilities, saving that, and everything like that. Wait for him to use his block with his shield, and then hit him with a right click. Because his shield is on a 1 second timer, so if you're able to pull that off, you can knock him back slightly, and maybe force him to use his F ability that pushes him forward. Another thing to keep in mind is almost never pop Magneto ult when they're Captain American ulting, because and due to the fact that Captain America's ult gives so much overhealth to everyone on their team that's in that line of sight or like line of path, that you almost can't one-shot some of even the squishiest characters in the game. So you just want to wait until it's over, and then you can use it, because you're not going to be able to hit them at all because of how much health they're going to have on the bonus health and how much health they already have. So try and just save your ult to the very end and wait until the extra health decays off of them. Alright, we're now going to move on to the DPS category. So first off, we're going to start with the Punisher. Magneto plays very well into the Punisher most of the time. Just the one key takeaway that the Punisher obviously has on you is the fact of his range. His range is infinite, and you need to keep that in mind. So you need to make space and take space for your team so you can at least start poking him down. But the thing is, though, is when you poke him down, and if he gets too close, he's just going to shotgun you and your teammates down with 1 to 2 to maybe even 3 hits just on a Magneto himself. So you need to keep an eye on that. When he pulls out a shotgun, start backing up, hit him with a right click, and make him back up. So next to Punisher's kit is the turret. What you can really only be doing against the turret is poking it at a distance. Due to it having so much health, you just try and call out to your team and to focus it down just to get rid of it. And if you have to, bubble one of your teammates if they're out in the open to try and make sure they don't get bursted down. Then next, and finally for Punisher, is his ultimate. His ultimate is one of the best things to counter with Magneto's meteor. Due to him instantly charging up your ultimate, it provides you with enough damage to instantly one-shot him and get him out of his ultimate before he does too much damage. Then one thing to keep in mind is to not hold on to your meteor for very long, especially when he's constantly firing, because it will instantly overload your meteor and it will make your ultimate completely useless. So you want to use it basically within 1 second. For just 1 second, you just want to hold it for 1 second and then instantly slam it down. You want to probably get it out before it hits a quarter of the way there. Even with that little amount of damage, the amount of points of like how much you're going to charge from your ultimate will be enough to kill him. All right. Next, we're going to talk about Storm. Storm is a flying character, which is a very interesting thing for Magneto itself. So hitting your right click, hitting your left clicks will be a little bit harder, especially your right clicks, because you most likely won't be trying to use your right clicks at all on a Storm, though, because they won't be that close to you. But usually a Storm is playing almost around your perfect range, around 20-ish meters, because due to them flying up and then trying to get an angle on you and all that stuff. So you, in theory, can start poking her down from a distance, get her low enough to the point where she has to go behind cover, and request one of her supports or healers to heal her up, back up to full. Especially with a Punisher or another hit scan or something like that, another flying character. Combination of you and that other character can almost pressure out a Storm entirely and make them useless while they're not in their ultimate. Magneto can't really do much else against Storm with their other abilities, like the hit scan one and then the one that zaps you from above. So you just want to mostly just ignore that. Just try and force her out and force her away from your team with your left clicks. But now we're going to talk about her ultimate. Don't even try ulting her with your meteor at all, because even with the combined damage of like holding it and then also getting the points of damage, it won't be enough to kill her. Unless your team tries and focuses her down, you can maybe kill her then. But just by yourself and you just hit her with your meteor, it won't be enough damage to stop her, and it doesn't stop any damage when you pop your ult from her tornado. So there's really no point. I'd save your ultimate and use it on a different character. But you can bubble a teammate, which will then save them, at least a little bit. And then you can also shield for yourself and shield for your allies as well. As long as you're aiming towards the center with your shield, you should be okay and you should be able to block it. So I would always try and keep your shield and your bubble, especially for a storm ult, because you could, in theory, save you and another teammate, maybe even another teammate if someone's behind you. Alright, the next DPS we're going to talk about is Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a very interesting matchup for Magneto, because obviously you can block his bolts with your shield. You can block it with your bubble. You can block it with everything like that. But the thing is, though, is he can charge up his bolts by looking at you because his charge distance is around 30 meters. So he basically has a longer range than you. So just keep that in mind when you want to fight him, is that he's just going to get ult. He's going to not get ult, but he's going to get the charge passive off you, and then he's just going to try and shoot your teammates. He's not even trying to really shoot you. But if he does end up trying to shoot you, just bubble yourself or use your shield. Alright, then another thing for Hawkeye too is when he pops his ult, try and bubble one of your teammates, because it does stop the damage of Hawkeye's ult. Just keep that in mind. So you can bubble a teammate, and then they'll just be taking the bubble damage instead of actually taking the actual damage of Hawkeye's bolts while in his ultimate, while shooting like the shadows. So just keep that in mind. So try and save your bubble for someone that's out of place, or a flanker, especially a diver, so they can bubble them when he pops his ult, because it's easy pickings if a diver gets caught out like that. Next, we're going to talk about Hela. Hela is another very interesting character to play against with Magneto, because she has infinite range with hit scan, which can be a problem. So you just got to keep that in mind. You got to make space, walk up to her, poke her out, force her to use bird, get her away from your team. Another thing to track for Hela especially is her swords, which is her right click, and then her stun. Keep that in mind. You can't really stop the stun. You can stop it with your shield and your bubble too. You could stop it, but she doesn't really have a wind up animation or anything like that, so it's kind of hard to try and stop it. But easy thing to block is obviously your swords. Pull out your shield for a half a second as you see her charging them up. You should be able to block almost all the swords with only half your shield. So just keep that in mind, especially you can't really do much against the Hela, especially talking about her ult right now. Her ult, you can try and poke it out. You can try and shoot her a little bit. Shoot the ult, try and tell your teammates to focus it. But you yourself can't really do much, because your right click's just going to do damage. Your left click's just going to do damage, and you don't do that much damage itself. So there's no point in really trying to counter it. Only thing you really can do is either bubble yourself or shield yourself from the damage, or bubble a teammate to try and save them from the damage. Alright, moving on. We're going to talk about Black Panther. Black Panther is an interesting matchup for Magneto. Magneto's ability to block his spears for his dives is probably one of the most important things to do when you're Magneto. Other than that, you can't really do much against the Black Panther. So what you can do is, when he's jumping up around the wall and he tries to throw a spear, try and block it with your shield, or hit or bubble one of your teammates. If he's just going for a solo dive on one of your teammates, just hit him with a bubble, because when he tries to throw a spear, it won't give the vibranium mark to him, so it will screw up his shift ability, to be precise. But the thing is, when he uses his E ability and just dashes between all of you, you can't block it with your shield, but you can block it with the bubble still. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of useless to just shield into Black Panther unless you're trying to block one of his spears. Except for when he uses his ultimate. His ultimate, you could block it. If you get right in front of him, you could block his entire thing with your shield. And obviously, if you want to bubble yourself, you can protect yourself from the instant damage as well. Magneto isn't the best against Black Panther, but he definitely can be decent, especially when you include his right click that he can use on Black Panther to try and push him out of his team and push him away. But if you end up pushing him, he most likely will just use one of his dash abilities to get even closer and maybe even get more vibranium marks on you and your team. Alright, moving on to the next DPS, Magic. Magic is a very interesting one for Magneto. Obviously, she's melee, so your shield doesn't do very much, but she does have the little throw ability, so you can block that partially. but that's not a guarantee that you can block it every single time, because you can do a short wind up, long wind up, no matter what. So it's not the best to try and use your shield just to block that. I'd try and just save your shield for more important things. And then also as well, when she's not an ultimate, try and bubble your teammates. Try and do that. Try and predict how many portals she has left to like escape with. And then also her dash, to try and hit her with a right click. If she ever tries to dash on someone, bubble them or hit them with a right click to try and get them off your support or DPS wherever she's diving. Watch for her portal cooldown and then also her dash cooldown. Without any of those cooldowns, she's just a sitting duck, and then you and your team can easily burst her down. But the biggest thing that I saw when you're playing against the Magic is to watch for her ultimate. Because when in her ultimate, she can one-shot almost every support in their ultimate with just a simple combo. So you need to be blocking with a bubble to them, especially if they're in a support ult. They're not going to pay attention to a Magic ulting. They're going to think, oh yeah, they can't burst me down, they're okay. But you need to be bubbling them when you see her charging up for her wind up attack, and then bubbling them, or then while she's winding up, hit her with a right click to then mess her up, and then maybe mess up her dash while she's trying to dash in on your support. Just keep in mind when she does pop her ult, keep track of her, because she can get very elusive and then she can just one-shot everyone. Next, we're going to talk about Black Widow. Black Widow is another one just like Punisher and Hela. Black Widow has an extremely long range with her scope and her sniper rifle. So just keep that in mind. You've got to, again, make more space, take space, pressure her out, make her run away back to her team if she's away from her team, and make her get heals. Because just with even getting her to half health, she's going to be too scared to peek you or any of your team again. But another thing is when you do end up getting too close and she does that melee attack on you, try and keep in mind when she uses that, because she does have a decently long cooldown for that. And try and bubble your teammate when you see that she hit your teammate once, so she doesn't do the combo. And then with her ultimate, this is another ultimate that you can completely negate if she ends up shooting it straight into your team and straight into your shield. Nullify the whole thing, won't do anything. So keep that in mind. Alright, next we're going to move on to Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is another very interesting one. She doesn't really have obviously the unlimited range with other like hit scans and other DPS, but she has the ability to spam a choke, which can be very terrible for you and your teammates. So what you want to be doing is, especially when you're walking through, shield for the spam, just so she doesn't hit you like twice or 3 times with it. Just try and block it real quick while you walk through the choke, and then if you have to, pay attention to when your teammates get low and then have to bubble them. But I don't. If they're dying to a Squirrel Girl like that, then it's a wrap already. But whatever. But the next thing you really should be looking for is when your divers are going in. Squirrel Girl is a very good counter to them. So when she has the double stun, keep that in mind and try and walk forward to give your teammates a bubble. Because if you can do that, it'll stop either the second one from hitting them and then getting chain stunned, or it'll stop them from obviously dying. So just keep that in mind. If you do see your divers going in, try and hit them with a bubble, especially when you see the Squirrel Girl turn around to look. So just keep that in mind. Give them a bubble. The next thing is her ult. Her ult, you can't really do much. So just if you have to, bubble yourself. Look for your teammates. Bubble them if you have to. But what I recommend is just bursting it down. Just shoot it. Just shoot it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. That's all you got to do. Just get rid of it. It's 300 health. You can get rid of it easily. Come on. The next DPS we're going to talk about is Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a sort of a different character. He has a lot of mobility. So just keep that in mind. You can't really probably catch him out, especially with you having no mobility. So just try and poke him out of range, because usually Moon Knights want to sit around your perfect spot too and just shoot their unks. Pressure them out. Make them leave. Shoot those unks. Get rid of those unks especially, or you're going to take a lot of damage and he's just going to get his ultimate immediately. So just keep in mind with that. Shoot his unks and keep him at a distance. The next thing is his ultimate. Usually Moon Knights like to grapple or double jump and glide and grapple or anything like that. Any mobility to try and get a higher vantage point with his ultimate. So keep that in mind. When he is flying like that, try and hit him with a right click. I know it's going to be a little bit hard, but try and hit him with a right click. Get him out. get him out of position, and maybe make him use his ultimate, and maybe position his ultimate like a little bit where he doesn't want it to be, so it might not kill your teammates or stuff like that. But then also try and bubble your teammates, and then while you're walking away, try and shield for yourself or any other teammates, so then they don't take the splash damage from the Moon Knight hands or Khonshu's that come down. Just keep that in mind. Watch for that. Alright, moving on to Iron Man. Iron Mans usually play really far back compared to like a Storm or something like that, and they will just farm ult charge most of the time if they're just playing passively, so that you most likely won't be able to hit them. Maybe if you want to try, hit him with a right click from very far away, get him a little bit scared of you, you know, establish some dominance, and then make him go back to cover, maybe get some heals. You'll be chilling then, but he'll just be playing at a distance. Keep that in mind. Like, you can't really do much. But then when he does try and push you, keep an eye out for his powered form, his like buffed power form, and then his beam, because it will now melt your teammates because of how strong the buff was. So just keep that in mind. Because and then just bubble them if you have to. Like, if you have to waste it on a bubble, especially with the new buffed Iron Man, just bubble him. It'll save him, and then you could obviously turn around, hit him with a couple left clicks, maybe the right click. Get him really low, and then just take him out. Especially when he only has 250 health, it should be pretty easy for you and your team. And then next, you should keep track of where the Iron Man is for his ultimate. Because if his ultimate is obviously just right in front of you, you see him, try and block it with your shield. Try and bubble your teammates or bubble you. Try and step in front of it if you have to. And just blow it up. You don't need to use your ultimate to try and grab it. But if you don't hear him, or I mean, if you hear his ultimate, if you don't see him, my go-to is just hit your ultimate immediately, just to grab it. It doesn't matter, especially if you're in the middle of your team. It'll be okay. Then look for another pick. Look for a support. Look for a DPS. If you can, look for Iron Man. Just one shot him out of the air. But yeah, just keep an eye out for that. You don't have to use your ultimate all the time on Iron Man, but if you want to, and you cannot see it, I would suggest you just should. All right, moving on to Spider-Man now. Spider-Man is kind of a weird matchup again for Magneto. You can't really do much. It's just keeping track. Just keep track of when he's gonna go in and when he hits his web clusters, so then you can try and bubble your teammate when he goes for the grab and then the uppercut. Because if you were able to bubble him in time, it can negate Spider-Man's entire one-shot combo. So just bubble him if you see him coming. And then as well, keep track of how many web swings he has, because you can obviously knock him a little bit away. I don't think you can cancel it either. But you can just at least knock him away a little bit, get him out of place, screw him up. Then going on to his ultimate, it's kind of hard for Magneto to do it, because you don't really grab it with your ultimate, I don't think. But you can obviously bubble a teammate, but you can shield it. But the thing is, though, is Spider-Man jumps around while in his ultimate, like, he goes really fast, jumps around, so you have to constantly be looking at him. But that's kind of hard due to him jumping around all the time, so sometimes you're just gonna have to take it, get stunned, because it won't kill Magneto if he's full health. It'll just stun him at the very end and maybe leave him with like a 200 health still. Don't be stressing, but just try and block it with your shield. If you block enough of it, you might not get stunned at the very end of it, so just keep that in mind. Now we're going to be talking about Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch against Magneto isn't very hard for him. She doesn't really have that long of a range for her primary fire, so just hit her with a right click, move her back, get her off, force one of her fades away, and just and then try and keep in your head how many fadeaways she has, just in case if she gets caught out with, like, if she uses both of them, burst her down. You should be okay. Even with her right clicks aren't very powerful. Do be careful, though, if you're playing a tank, especially if you're playing Magneto, obviously, even any other tank. She has percentile base damage, so she can do a little bit more damage to you. But come on, it's freaking Scarlet Witch. She's terrible. And then her ultimate, obviously, easiest thing in my life. Hit her with a right click, get rid of some of her health if you can. If you can tell that you guys aren't going to be able to burst her down, bubble a teammate and shield yourself. And try and jump in front of another teammate just in case. But most likely, you could just burst her down, or if you don't see it coming, that could be a little bit of a problem. But just bubble a teammate and shield yourself. You'll be chilling. You'll be okay. I believe in you. If you're losing to Scarlet Witch, come on. Pick it up. Gotta be a better Magneto. Now, we're going to move on to Namor. Namor is a very interesting one again for Magneto because you can't really shoot his squids. I mean, you can, like, it takes like 2 to 3 shots though. So it's almost not even worth your time. I'd rather just be shooting into the enemy team to just try and get more ultimate charge. So just watch out for that. Like, watch for his squids, especially with his team up so you can get 3 squids. I'd mostly just tell your other teammates though to keep a track of those squids and make sure he doesn't get a lot of value out of them. Another thing though is to keep in mind is to try and hit him with a left click and a right click and then another left click. Obviously you can get him really low then. You won't kill him, but you'll get him really low and they'll force out his bubble. So then your divers or anyone else can try and dive him while he has no protection with the bubble. For his ultimate, this is another one I haven't tested a lot since that new thing tech has come out. So I don't know if you are able to shield, jump, and then block it like that. So keep that in mind. If you are Magneto, you can try it. You can obviously try it, might as well, but I don't know if it works. So you didn't hear that from me. Obviously, bubble a teammate, bubble yourself. If there's nobody else in there, bubble yourself. Bubble a teammate so it negates his entire ultimate against him. All right, next, we're going to talk about Psylocke. Psylocke is probably one of the best divers that you can't really counter. Due to the fact that she has a lot of escape mobility, she has her right click that basically allows her to get a lot of bonus health if she hits you. And then obviously she gets her cooldowns back even faster with her hitting her primary shots, so she's just going to farm it off you. She's going to keep getting her abilities back, blah blah blah. The cycle continues. You can't keep then you can't keep track of how like when she uses both of her dashes, when she uses her invisibility. Like, it's really hard for Magneto to try and keep track of that. But one thing that could work is when shooting the ground. Shoot the ground. Like, shoot the ground, try and get the burst, and try and find her when she's in her invisibility. Because if she's in her invisibility, there's a chance you can hit her, especially listen for the footsteps. That's why you should get a good headset as well. Don't forget about that. And then once you find her, it is pretty freaking easy to figure out where she's going to go. So, spotted her, hit her with a right click. Knock her back, then instantly you get another right click right on her. So, easy peasy. But then she's just going to dash, and then you're going to have to have a whole other problem. Then she's going to get bonus health with shurikens, and she's going to keep dashing. So, I don't know. So, we're going to move on to her ultimate now. Her ultimate obviously has 8 hits, I'm pretty sure. And they each do 150 maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Dude, they do a decent amount of damage, though. Just keep that in mind. And the only way for you to counter it is with, again, your bubble. Your bubble. My goal is to usually bubble a teammate and then see how many people are in the actual radius itself, and then see if I should jump into the circle if I'm not in it already. See if I have to jump in, because obviously I can tank a couple hits from her ultimate, and that might buy the healers DPS enough time to either escape or heal each other back up. So just weigh the situation, see how you feel about it. But especially if you have bubble on cooldown, it doesn't matter if you give it to a teammate or yourself. Just get in there and then either pop it on yourself or pop it on a teammate. You have to use it. All right. Next, we're going to talk about Wolverine, the tank buster himself. Wolverine is a very hard counter to Magneto and basically all other tanks, due to the fact that Magneto basically has no mobility. So basically Wolverine can just jump on him and he's basically almost screwed. Only real counters that you have is his bubble and Magneto's right click. That's all you really got. So just be careful with that, especially because if you use your right click on a Wolverine, your right click takes way longer to recharge than his right click that allows him to dash around 7 meters. So even if you right click him, he can just dash and he'll still have another 2 meters on him. So the matchup against the Wolverine is very dependent on how your supports will help you and how your DPS will help you, because it's very hard to play a tank against a Wolverine. And just keep in mind with that. Especially look for when he uses his rage mode. Use your right click on him when he uses his rage mode to take less damage. And just back up. Because usually when he uses that, that means he's going to try and go for the dive. The grab, especially. Because with the grab, you can protect you and your teammates. Mostly probably it's just going to be you and your tanks. But you can bubble your tanks so he doesn't grab them, or bubble yourself so he doesn't grab you. So keep that in mind. Your bubble will come back before he has his grab back. So that's the one plus side, is you could just keep bubbling yourself. Then his ultimate. His ultimate, you can't really do much against it. You could bubble a teammate while if you didn't get grabbed, you can bubble a teammate real quick, protect them before they get slammed on the ground. Wolverine is just a pain in the ass for tank players. All right, now we're gonna talk about the wannabe tank buster Iron Fist. Iron Fist, after the 1.5 changes for season 1.5, he has sort of become another tank buster just like Wolverine. So keep in mind out for that. He isn't as good as a tank buster, so it's still up in the air yet. But just keep in mind that he has very high mobility, so there's no way you're going to be able to get away from him if he jumps you. And the only thing that you can really counter is your bubble. Because you can't shield him, because he's a melee character. So you can either hit him with a right click, and even if you do hit him with a right click, he has that lock on aim. So good luck. So basically all you have is your bubble. You have your bubble to either save yourself or one of your teammates when he dives. Just try and ult track him and try and, try and track his kicks, his jumps. There's really no point to even try and track those, but try and track his kick especially, and his many punches where he just does that. Keep a track of that. And then also look when he's trying to heal. Iron Fist always try and heal in the most random places. Iron Fist would like to do that and then pop their ult, so keep that in mind if he does do that, and then he does it like right above your team. It's freaking Iron Fist. We all hate him. Doesn't matter. No matter what rank. His ultimate is just another version of him being incredibly annoying. Alright. Moving on to Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic, he has a couple abilities that can be a problem for Magneto especially. One is that he can grab you and just pull you forward, and then can sometimes put you in a bad position. Just keep that in mind. So if you have to, shield yourself, bubble if you have to. But then another ability that he has is the big man, where he's just, I don't even know what it's even called, where he just turns into like a thick slab of meat and he just starts walking at you menacingly. Keep that in mind. He's CC immune, all that stuff, anti-sleep, all that. So even if you want to hit him with your ultimate too, he'll just nullify it. If you want to hit him with your right click, he's just going to nullify it and take it in. So let's keep that in mind. But when he is in that form, try and like count in your mind on how many seconds are left, and then try and shield your team and you from the damage that he shoots out, so that'll at least stop a little bit of damage from him. Another thing too is to try and keep track of when he is about to turn big boy, because when he is big boy, he cannot stop any of like your abilities at all, or really anything like that. He can get slept and get all that stuff. He's not anti-CC like some of his other abilities. So keep that in mind when he does go big boy. Hit him with a right click, push him back, walk back. Can't shield obviously because he's melee, but bubble your teammates, bubble you if you have to. And then moving on to his ultimate. His ultimate is just freaking him jumping around in like in a bouncy house. So I don't really know what you want to do there. You can't shield it. So again, just bubble your teammates, bubble yourself if you have to, but probably bubble your teammates because it does not do percentile damage like other abilities do. So just bubble your teammates there, most likely, like your DPS and support, because they have way smaller health pools than you, and you can easily tank, but I'm pretty sure, all of his bounces. Next, we're going to talk about the Human Torch. The Human Torch is kind of an interesting one as well, because it's another flying character just like Storm and Iron Man. But the thing is, though, is Iron Man can play very far back sometimes. Storm can play a little bit far back. But most of the time, the Human Torch is going to be pretty close to you in your sweet spot of around that 20-ish meter mark. So you have the ability to poke him down and force him away and force him to go run for heals before he can do too much damage. And the reason why he has to play so close is due to him having like the shotgun left click as his primary fire. So it's kind of weird how Human Torch has to play for a flyer, especially. Try and pressure him out, poke him away, make the enemy healers look up and put effort into actually healing him, and make him just be a whole nuisance for the healers on their team. Another thing you want to keep out for him is the flame balls. You need to keep track of where they are and stuff like that, just in case, because if your teammates don't, then they're just gonna get squashed sometimes. They're just gonna get dove on, because especially if there's a lot of them stacked in one place, he'll just dive onto it. If your teammates are stupid enough to walk into like a 5-pile fireball, just be nice and bubble him real quick. And then also keep track where you're walking, because he can make that little box or whatever with his fire and then just burn you while your team's in it. So just keep that in mind. You can't really do much again for that. It's just like you can't shield it. You can't shield it. It's just like you're just gonna burn. You can bubble it, but like there's no point in bubbling it because it's just a little bit of damage. The next thing is his ultimate, really. Him with Storm, just die. Like if you just lose, because there's no way that you are gonna be able to survive with him and Storm together. So you can't really do much when him and Storm are on the same team and they combo together. But that's okay. It's whatever. I never really see it. I don't know if you guys see it, but I never see it. So just hope to God that you don't be seen when they combo together. But if he ults by himself, usually you're okay. Usually you don't have to waste too much resources. You could try and block maybe one of his fireballs from landing right at your feet with your shield. But just keep track of how healthy your teammates are, and then bubble them if you have to. Now we're going to talk about Bucky. You need to keep track of all of his abilities and stuff like that, but once you keep track of his abilities and start cycling your cooldowns with his cooldowns, he's pretty easy to play against. The main ability that you want to be checking for when playing against the Bucky is a hook. What you can do easily is obviously shield. Use your shield really quick, or if you don't have your shield on cooldown, bubble yourself if you have to, or bubble your teammate if they're going to get targeted by a Bucky hook. And just keep that in mind, especially if he's able to hook you. Instantly bubble to try and possibly cancel out his dash or whatever with his shift, so he doesn't grab you then pull you in a different direction. Now let's talk about his ultimate. His ultimate, if he's up in the air and he slams down, if you're able to bubble a teammate before he slams down onto him, it doesn't count as like the again. So you can instantly counter his ult if he's only targeting one person. You can instantly nullify his ult if you hit a perfect bubble on your teammate or yourself before he's able to hit you when he goes up again. So let's remember that. Your bubble can save you or your teammate from getting that effect, or if you do bubble another teammate even after they have the effect, it could save him and make sure he doesn't get it again. But try and do it beforehand, before he slams down, so it protects them from the initial damage and then also that like mark. Now we're going to talk about Star-Lord. Star-Lord does have infinite range, but most of the time he's going to be standing around your perfect range at around 20-ish meters because of his spread on his guns. So around you're going to be able to take like a 1v1 duels and be able to poke him from a distance just like he will to you. So just remember that. It's like okay. Like it's an okay matchup for Magneto, but just remember that you can keep poking him and make sure to poke him and make him use his shift ability to run away and keep him on his toes. Don't let him just keep firing from one angle, and put pressure on him. So at least damage him, make him run back to a healer. And then another thing too is his ult. His ult, you can block you and your teammate with a bubble to a teammate and then a shield for yourself, or if you don't have a bubble on cooldown, just shield yourself and then try and body block for an ally. Just try and get the damage on you and not on your teammates, because you can easily absorb 1 to 2 clips of his ultimate, which should be plenty of time for your healers to heal you up or anything like that. Another thing to do with when he's ulting, you can obviously ult yourself and absorb partial amounts of that damage. And when you do that, it'll basically nullify at least half his ult, and then you can either try and hit him or try and target a support or another DPS. It'll obviously build your ultimate points up a lot, so just remember that. So you don't want to hold it for too long either, just like a Punisher ult. You want to keep it for like a couple seconds and then throw it and just watch the points go up and make sure it doesn't overload. So just remember that. Another thing too is if you're going to try and target a Star-Lord with your ult, make sure to track his dashes. Usually a Star-Lord ult will be, he pulls it out, he shoots, and then he either reloads or he dashes to get the free reload. So just remember that. So whenever he dashes, he's probably not going to dash for a second time. So throw it at him right at the end of his dash. That's what you want to target, at the very end of his dash. Because once you get to the very end of his dash, most likely he's going to save his second dash, or he's not going to have another dash left. And he's just going to save the second dash so they can use it for another reload. Because they're going to be very picky about it, and they're not probably going to use it. They're just going to use it for reloads. They're not going to try and use it to block damage mostly. Unless you're playing against a really good Star-Lord, then that could be a problem. But other than that, just watch for his first one and then throw it at him. Or wait for 2 of them and then throw it at him. Just remember that, because he can obviously block your ult if you try and target him with your ult with the dashes. Now we're gonna move on to the strategist. First strategist we're gonna talk about is Rocket. Rocket is kind of useless against Magneto, but also kind of he's not. You can't really do much against him either. What you can try and do is try and hit him with a left click. Hit him with a left click, make him scared, make him bounce around, make him try and shoot one of those healer balls at his feet to try and heal himself back up. But most likely, you aren't going to be able to kill a Rocket due just to how small he really is, and just how elusive he is with his double dashes. Don't even really try to focus him. Just try and put a little bit of poke on him. If you make him poke and waste a couple seconds of his time, it's worth it. But other than that, don't try and focus him down, really. Especially if you try and pop ult, and then, like, let's say your original target runs away or gets away or something like that. Try and just not look at him, because what he's gonna do is he's gonna look directly at you. He's gonna look directly at you, and then he's gonna look at you and wait for you to throw it, and then he's just gonna jetpack away instantly. Unless he's a bad Rocket. But if you're playing against this Rocket, he's just gonna look directly at you. He's gonna shoot a little bit of healer balls too, maybe, and then he's just gonna look at you, wait for you to throw it, especially if you're looking right at him, and then he'll just jetpack away. Because he's got 2 charges, he'll almost always have 1 just in case. So don't try and target him in your ult, especially, because he'll just get away. Next, we're going to go on to Mantis. Mantis is an interesting one because you can sort of counter her ults with your ult. Well, I'll get into that in a second. But for right now, just keep in mind when there is a Mantis on the enemy team, try your hardest to try and bubble your divers, because if you do bubble your divers, most of the time when you bubble them, Mantis usually almost always tries to sleep them immediately when they try and dive in. Have your bubble on standby for when your divers try and dive in when they have a Mantis, because Mantis's sleep is so easy to hit. It can be hit by basically anyone. Moving on to then Mantis ult. Mantis ult is kind of weird for Magneto because she has 375, so you can't just outright charge it. You gotta have some of the points of damage so that you can reach that 375 hit. But to make it a little bit easier, you could try and tell your teammate to try and burst her down a little bit, try and get her down another 25, 50 health, just so you don't have to hold it for so long and get so many projectiles. It's up in the air if you want to try and use your ult against a Mantis ult, because again, don't forget, Mantis has a speed boost along with her entire team when she ults, so it's going to be even harder to hit your meteor on her even when she has her normal health. So it's a pain in the butt. It's a 50-50 shot if you want to try. Moving on to Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is a very weird one. It's kind of like you have nothing to do against Adam Warlock really, but he can counter you, sorta. It's so like, what he can do is, obviously he could shoot you, you can just shoot blah blah blah, whatever. He can give you projectiles, which is pretty good. A thing that can be a problem is when you when he soul bonds. If you ult and he soul bonds and he gets probably more than 3 teammates and they all just split up, and go opposite directions, you can't really hit them because it'll just split across to all 3 of them. So you need to be careful when you choose your target. Make sure they're not soul bonded, and then try and one-shot them, or try and force out the soul bond before you ult. Because a good Adam Warlock, I've seen him do it, where they soul bond and then your entire thing's nullified, because you can't even hit anyone because everyone is together and everyone's protected. Because that can screw up your ult sometimes. And then when it comes to Adam Warlock ult, there's kind of no reason to use your ults to really like take it out. I mean, if you want to, you could try. If you have like a clear line of sight of him and you can't for some reason burst him down with your normal attacks, you can try and meatball him, I guess, meteor him. So it's up to you if you want to use it, but I would suggest save your ultimate for another ult. Trust me, it'll be better. Alright, next, we're going to talk about Luna Snow. Luna Snow is a mixture of the Mantis problem. So, Mantis has a sleep, Luna has a freeze. So what you want to be doing, even when they have a Luna, is bubble your divers. Keep them alive, make sure they're not getting frozen, slept, all that jazz. so then they can keep going. So just keep in mind, track when she has her freeze, and then tell your teammates, especially your divers, when they can dive in if she just uses your freeze prematurely. And then basically there's nothing else to talk about her and how to counter her kit, really. So basically we're going to move on to finally her ult. Her ult is, again, another interesting one. The thing is, though, is in Mantis ult, she will almost constantly have 375 health. Luna's case, Luna at the very beginning of her ult gets 525, but then all of her bonus health that she got starts to decay at around 8 seconds. And like 8 seconds left of her ult. So, and she cannot re-heal that bonus health either. So that's the crucial thing. So what you want to be doing is telling your team, shoot the Luna, shoot the Luna, shoot the Luna. Get her all that bonus health gone, and then hit her with the meteor. Because due to her only having 275 health, you don't even have to absorb any of the projectiles. You just have to hit her with the meatball directly, the meteor directly. That's all you got to do. So just keep that in mind when you're playing against Luna. Tell your team, focus her down, get rid of all that bonus health, and then you can one-shot it. Next, we're going to talk about Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger is one of the funnest characters to play against when you're playing Magneto. The reason why is, so we're going to talk about her normal abilities first before we talk about her ultimate. But so her normal abilities are obviously the bubble and then the healing thing. That's whatever. Try, when she is the solo healer, try and force out her bubble by just giving her like a couple like left clicks, maybe a right click to weaken her, and then it'll force her to use her bubble on herself instead of her teammates, which can be very useful, which is very good. And then another thing to keep in mind too is her other phase. Her other phase, the blind. You cannot block the blind with your curtain, with your shield. So don't try and do that. I've done that so many times where I tried just walking up to it and I try and block it. No, you still get blinded. Just keep that in mind. Don't try and do that. And then obviously her fade. Her fade is probably the strongest ability I've seen in a very long time. In this game, it's probably the best ability ever. But it's just not used very correctly right now. But once you get a hang of it, it'll become the best ability in the coming years of this game. We talk about the most fun part about Cloak and Dagger. Her ultimate. Her ultimate, your ult instantly counters. Instantly. You can absorb a couple projectiles, or you don't even have to absorb any projectiles, and you can one-shot her, because she only has 250 HP. Just make sure she doesn't go inside, like that's a counter, she goes inside in her last one. And then people are also saying for a counter is the fade. You fade up, and then you use her ult. You go back and forth, you use your ult, and then like people say, Magneto can't hit her while she's flying, like it's so hard. First off, if you're playing against good Magneto, he'll hit her in the air no matter what. So that's, but let's say you're not playing at like top 500 Magneto. You realize once you hit the ground and you're done with your fourth dash, you don't have that fade ability anymore. So if you're a really good Magneto and let's say you can't really hit her out of the air, she's doing some goofy stuff in the air, what I want you to do is wait for her like first dash, wait for her to use like a first or second dash, wait for her second dash if you have to. And then pop your ult, because then she is then stuck on the ground, unable to fade away, or unable to do basically anything. Only thing she do now is walk. She doesn't have her fade ability. And her fade ability is kind of the only thing that stops Magneto from hitting her in her ultimate. So just keep that in mind. Keep track of when she uses her fade and when she doesn't. Because if she's constantly using her fade ability and then ulting, just wait at like a half a second longer and then pop your ult. And then hit her on her last dash when she finally stops and she has to move around regularly now. Moving on to Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman is another favorite of mine to play against when I play Magneto, especially now because she is kind of more popular than Luna now. So what I like to do, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Her abilities like that with the push in the pull, just keep track of when you or maybe or your teammates get pulled in, and if you have to, shield them, shield yourself, bubble them, bubble yourself if you have to. Keep in mind for that. And when she is invisible, remember you have your splash damage to try and find her. So don't be afraid to shoot around for your footsteps. Don't be afraid to just shoot around, try and find her. Melee around maybe if you have to. Then another thing too is her vortex. Watch out for that. Just stay away. It's whatever. It's not that hard. Now we get to move on to the fun part. Invisible Woman's ult. My favorite thing to do, and what I always see, I'll tell both sides of it right now. So what I like to do is I hear an Invisible Woman ult. I then pop my ultimate. And now what the enemy Invisible Womans do is I see them go invisible and they just leave the circle. They leave the circle, they wait out their ultimate, and they just hide because they're like, oh, their entire team already has heals and all that stuff. The only thing you need to be careful for is like if there's another Stranger Magneto, so they can block your ultimate. But what I like to do is hold my ultimate for as long as I can, unless if it's about to be broken. But other than that, hold my ultimate as long as I can, get as much damage as possible, and then almost throw my ultimate right in the middle of Invisible Woman's ultimate. If not, like slightly to the side, slightly out of it, like slightly like around there. But basically hold it as long as you can and then throw it. Because most of their team is going to think that they're invincible. Because of how that ultimate works. Because everyone's visible, yada yada yada. It's just all that. Like everyone thinks that they're okay. No, if you throw it in the middle, that damage fall off and how much damage you absorb and how much damage you held it for will be so much that a lot of the times I've gotten 1, 2, sometimes 3 kills just because of how people play an Invisible Woman's ult compared to like a Cloak and Dagger ult, Luna Snow ult, stuff like that. Especially if the Invisible Woman pops her ultimate like right on top of you, like you just instantly click it, instantly click your stuff, instantly click your ult. Just be ready. Just I wouldn't even try and focus Invisible Woman. Focus a different teammate, especially ones that like a Namor. Like, pay attention, see if he makes sure he doesn't use bubble, obviously, but just target characters that have no mobility but need to get in that invisibility ult. Now we're going to talk about everyone's favorite character, Jeff. Jeff is an interesting character because of how his ult works and how he plays sometimes and how I've seen top 500 play and how I've seen, like, how different Jeffs play the game. Because I've seen different Jeffs heal bot the whole game, sit in the back, heal bot, all that stuff. I've seen Jeffs also dive. Just keep in mind when they do dive, make sure to save your bubble, save your shield to try and protect your healers because of his splash damage. And make sure it doesn't take one out. And I wouldn't even try to focus him down because you can hit him like decently when he's swimming along the wall and stuff like that. But his healing and his bubbles, and if he's a really good Jeff, he'll pre-place bubbles and stuff like that and he'll just keep swimming. So it'll be really hard for you to hit him. But if you can, and if he's a bad Jeff, hit him with a right click when he's coming out of his fin form to try and shoot a bubble down to try and screw up his rotations a little bit. Next, for his ultimate, again, I don't know if I've never tried it with a thing ult where like you shield and jump. Never seen if that could work against his ultimate, but it could. So test away. I don't know, but obviously bubble someone. If you're not in the ultimate, bubble your teammate. If you're in the ultimate, you could bubble yourself, but I kind of like bubbling other people instead of myself. Because sometimes I might have Meteor, and I sometimes use my Meteor just to get out, like if I don't get instantly spit out. But yeah, Jeff is a little bit interesting. I wouldn't waste your ultimate on his ultimate, though, unless you're 100% sure that he doesn't have enough time to shoot all your teammates off the map. Because you could, in theory, use your Meteor to get out of his ultimate, hold it for long enough, and then one-shot him while he's swimming. But the thing is, though, is that most Jeffs ult, and then within the time span of you having to charge up your ultimate, he's going to spit all your teammates out of the map. So sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. Again, you just got to figure that out in your own situation, but I'm just telling you situations that could work for you in that one specific time or a couple times. So just remember that. Moving on now to the final character that we have. As of season 1.5, we have Loki. Loki is an interesting. It's not really interesting. It's different. It's you gotta take in all the information that I just said and use it on Loki when he copies and uses his ult. Just remember that, like all the characters I just said and all the characters I just gone through. Remember that Loki basically uses everything of that. So. Good luck trying to track that and all that stuff when Loki copies. Just keep track of that. And then another thing too, though, is when you ult, try and make sure the runes are not on are on cooldown. So then you can actually ult someone because the runes will instantly nullify all the Meteor's damage. Just keep that in mind. And I wouldn't even try targeting Loki with your Meteor because of how elusive he can be with his invisibility and with his teleporting. And all that stuff, it's too hard to try and keep up with him and try and hit him with a Meteor. So don't focus on him, focus on someone else, and just keep track of when the runes go up and when they are down. Alright. How'd you think of the video? I know it was kind of shit, it's kind of choppy. first long video though that I've ever made, so hopefully you guys at least enjoyed it just slightly. Please give me feedback in the comments for who you want to hear next or how I can improve my editing at all. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy season 2. Like, I'm literally watching the premiere, or like the not the premiere, but like Emma Frost's like trailer right now. So I'm hyped. I am extremely hyped for this next season, and I hope you guys are too. But if you guys enjoy it, leave a comment, tell me what I should do next, and I'll see you guys in season 2, I guess. Have a good one.